Hey guys, welcome back to the God is Within Her podcast. I'm your guide sis, Chelsea. This is the first episode of season 2. Yay! All right, and today we're going to be talking about being on the edge of the cliff, nearing the iceberg. Like, have you ever felt like you were getting closer to a breakthrough, but you feel like more chaos is here? Yeah, I've been feeling a lot of that lately. It is so hard because it's like you feel like you're doing great. Like you're managing your triggers. I'm having some sort of consistency and overall improvement in who I am and who I am becoming. And it just feels like the devil is just getting closer and closer. Like more things just keep happening to try to throw me off. It's like every time something would happen, I would combat it with prayer and stay in good faith. But then I'm like, did they win because I was bothered by it? I had to get that negative thought out of my head and know that, no, you are human because you were bothered by it. Yeah, humans feel. We feel every interaction. Energy is within every form of communication, every interaction that we have with one another. So to not be bothered and to not feel would be inhumane. So no, the devil did not win because I felt it. I won in faith because I kept combating it in faith. And yes, I was drained by the end of the day, but that's because I was fighting spiritual warfare all day. And that's okay because the devil is going to hunt for what God has his hand on. So the way that you know you're tipping the near the iceberg is the devil and distractions will come with high urgency because they see you nearing to the top. They're like, oh no, don't you take this one. We need her here spearing the chaos that we need in here. We don't need her spearing faith. That's adverse to what the devil wants. So the devil's distractions are going to come. So what I do is really pay attention to my actions and just checking myself. Like, what am I spending my time on? What am I spending my energy on? What am I doing to pour into me? Spending time with God. And if I'm not doing these things that are pouring into me, if not, it's okay. Because sometimes you have to focus on other things, that's sacrifice and surrender. Sometimes you have to be that vessel for other things. But if it's not pouring into you, I take another step in my thought process and really think, is this giving me long-term gain? If yes, then great, I'll feel better. If not, then I really have to look at why I'm doing that thing and why I keep perpetuating this habit that I can't seem to break. And I want to break it because it is not conducive and it's not pouring into myself. So that's really what I want to suggest for when you're battling the devil and his actions. If we look at 1 Peter 5:8, it says, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Okay, so your devil, your adversary, your distractions are looking for you. And one thing that I noticed is the devil will come in disguise. So it'll come in those things that hold near and dear to your heart. Like a real stronghold that I had to break myself off from is my parents. But that has been a hard one to take that stronghold off because it feels like, I'm not being respectful and I'm not being nice. No, I'm being respectful to myself and I'm loving myself. Yeah. How it comes off may be different than I intend, but that's where God steps in. And when he knows your heart and when he knows what you're trying to do, your intention is enough. So to get through your season of attacks, yeah, through prayer. Checking yourself, checking your actions, because the devil will come. And when he comes, you have to be ready. You have to know how to cope yourself out of those things. So you'll know that you're nearing your breakthrough because those distractions and the devil will come full force. Don't get sucked into chaos. Number 1. Number 2, your thoughts. I've been battling a lot of self-doubt and gaslighting. And gaslighting is when somebody else tries to make you doubt yourself. And that's okay because they don't know the light that's inside of you. And that's okay because we expect it, because we just talked about how the devil is going to come for God and his children. So, okay, that's okay. But they don't know the vision. They don't know what God and what message that God placed in your heart. So combat the self-doubt. You have to believe it like there's no other way. I remember when I was moving to the DMV, I had 5 months to move and I didn't have a new job in the city that I needed it to be. I didn't have an apartment. I didn't have any of that yet. And my dad says to me, well, how is that going to work? There's no other way. That was my answer. There is no other way. It will work. There is no other way. So I want to encourage you to stand in your faith in that way. Move with a daily mode of surrender so that you can pivot at any time. God's plans can change literally at any time. Anytime. You have to be so in tune with your daily surrender and knowing the spirit and feeling that conviction and knowing when to heed to it. You have to continue that daily practice so that when God says pivot and go, it's time to go. Okay? There's a song called Chuuch by somebody. I don't remember. And Joel Osteen is by Slim Thug. And he has a feature of Joel Osteen on there. And Joel Osteen says, the hardest thing for us to do is let go of people. That's the hardest thing for us because we're so wholehearted. And you were like, oh, God brought us to this at this one time 3 years ago. No, God says that I need to do this now. Is he? And I don't even want to say he because God's not a man, but is God saying that? Figure it out for yourself. Is that what God's saying? Because if it's not, if God is saying you need to leave this space, it is no longer serving you and you can no longer serve there. Your time here is done. You need to be able to walk away. Sometimes that is hard. So bringing it back to gathering our thoughts and checking ourselves and making sure we're not getting distracted, because this is the easiest time to get distracted when you're on the tip of a breakthrough, because you're like, okay, maybe it's time for me to pivot, or maybe it's time for me to keep striding at that thing so that God's will can be done. But God's will can be done either of those two ways, but you have to be so in tune with God and enter your life that you know, do I need to walk away? Do I need to pivot? God, do I need to pivot? Okay. When we are nearing the breakthrough, the devil's going to come. He's going to come with all the works, and the gaslighting and the self-doubt will be one of them. The gaslighting that others will place into you, and then it will seep into your thoughts. Next thing you know, you're embodying that thought as if you said it. So really be mindful. And lastly, prepare for the no. Woo! Sorry if I scared you, but prepare for the no, because that's the hardest thing to deal with. The no is really going to tell you when to pivot, okay? The no is just, for me, I heard this term, and it's rejection is just redirection from God. It really is. What is for you will be for you. Always. Literally, it will be waiting there for you. What is for you is for you. Prepare for the no from God. Because in the same light that we say what's for you is for you, we also have to implement that wait, because it's God's plan, not mine. It's God's timing, not mine. Having that discernment is important. It is imperative. It is necessary. It is priority, because you and God are in partnership while these things are happening on earth and in the flesh. And sometimes that first no could be just the adversary, or you can combat that no and then try again. And then God will say, well, what did I say? Okay. Whatever God has is for you. You're unique. Literally, we try to define ourselves by so many different things. We try to say like, oh, we're from this state. Oh, we are from this family. Oh, we have this degree and this, that. We define ourselves in this world by temporary things, when what is eternal is our soul. What is eternal is your purpose and your will. That is already destined, is already done. And we try to put ourselves into a box. We cannot be. We are unique. We have a unique heartbeat. Our fingerprint is unique. There's no other person on this world that has your fingerprint. There is no ability. You can try, but counting the hairs on your head. There is no other you holding truth to that, so that when you have to pivot, you can keep striding and flowing through each day with grace and sitting on that grace and on that faith. 2 Timothy 2:7 says, and reflect on what I'm saying, for the Lord will give you insight into all of this. Now, let me give you a little background story. So this 2 Timothy is really about Paul. Paul is sending a message to the people, and it's saying, look, you have to be of God. I've been cast out of this world. They do not want me to speak about God, but I'm going to tell you in this letter, this is what God says for us to do. And reflect on what I'm saying, because the Lord will give you insight in all of this. That's that discernment that I'm talking about, so that you can pivot and know which way God is telling you to go. Because there will be people, there will be things that we see, there will be things that we hear that may initiate a thought within our minds. And that thought is not in conducive with what God wants, and we don't have the discernment to be able to, one, move it out the way if it's not of God, or two, implement it to combat the adversary, then we can really get lost in the sauce of the world. And then we look up and we feel like we're dying every day. We feel like we don't want to do what we love. We don't want to get up to do for others. We are discouraged in totality. So to stop from getting to that point, when you about to break free, okay, just remember, the devil is going to come with distractions. Make sure you are checking yourself. Where are you spending your energy? Number 2, there will be thoughts that you have to combat. Those self-doubting thoughts, those gaslighting thoughts from other people. Combat those things. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." Okay? Discipline those thoughts. He gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Snatch those thoughts up. Snatch it up. And then we have number 3, prepare for the no. Have discernment. Know when God is speaking to you. All right? Keep going. Don't get discouraged. Keep going. The next segment is our faith check. And with this segment, I'm going to give you a question, and I want you to take that question to your prayers with God. God, what is our next move? What's our next move? What do you need me to do? And heed to that. And I hope you really get some clarity and guidance from that prayer. All right, guys, that is all for now. Next time, we're going to talk about dealing with our life and our emotions. Okay, I talked a little bit about dealing with emotions and combating those, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more, and we're really going to get into the power of prayer. All right, guys, that's all for now. I'll talk to you next time. See you later. Bye. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you don't miss when we post the next episode.